Hi, I'm Sonia Falayan, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Mind and Manna. This channel is for Black women 55 years of age and older who are interested in working on their finances so that they can level up to a more intentional lifestyle of freedom, travel, joy, and ease. And I'm on here today because I really want to respond directly to a YouTube video that I saw recently by Stephanie Perry. And that video was called How to Start Treating Yourself with Loving Kindness. And I absolutely loved it. I agree with everything she said. So I want to talk to you about that particular video. And I also want to talk about how we can start applying some similar principles to the relationship that we have with our finances. So with that being said, let me start out with what Stephanie Perry said. She said she had six things that she wanted to cover, 6 ways of treating yourself with loving kindness. And the first one was to get rid of negative self-talk. Absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. What we tell ourselves manifests in our behaviors and our thoughts. If we can start replacing those things with positive thoughts, our whole lives can change. The next one was to speak kindly in the world about our work. That's about our artwork, it's about our career choices, it's about the decisions we've made. So often we speak negatively of what we've done, or we hide our accomplishments under a bushel. We're overly modest. And in my opinion, being overly modest is overrated. We should acknowledge what we've done, feel good about it, and let it shine in the world. The next thing she said was to tell people when they have crossed the boundary. When we have established a boundary and people disrespect that, we need to let people know that they've crossed the line. And we also need to make our yeses mean yes and our no's mean no. Okay? The next thing she said was to remove people who refuse to fall in line with what we've stated, what our boundaries are, what our intentions are, where we're going, the goals that we have, who we are. We need to remove those people because those are actually toxic relationships, and they should be removed from our lives as much as we can. The next one was to form community with women who are actively making the long-term changes toward ourselves that we're making ourselves. Having community is extremely important. Having like-minded people for support and for accountability really helps us to achieve our goals. And the last thing she said was for us to have outward reminders about our inner values or where we're going. And she talked about having a talisman to remind us of where we are on our journey. So I thought all of those ideas were really, really important. They're things that we can incorporate, and they're really, really important because so much of the narrative around Black women has been around work, do for others, but it's the kind of sacrificial doing for others that often is at the detriment of our health and ultimately the detriment of our families and our communities, because let's face it, the history has been many of us have worked our fingers to the bone. We've neglected medical care and the attention that we need. And ultimately, if our health suffers, if our mental health suffers, our families suffer as well, as do our communities. So it's just time now. It's really time now to build upon the work of our ancestors, our mothers, our grandmothers, our foremothers. And for those of us who are mature women now, we can even build upon our own work. Because I know I came up in a time where I did a lot of literally marching and protesting and justice work, working sometimes 2 and 3 jobs at a time as a single mom, until some light bulbs went off for me and I decided to do some things differently. But I know that it's time for me at this point in my life to actually build upon and rest upon my previous work. And we have new generations that are following us now. And so we want to set another example based upon the times that we're living in now. It's okay for us to rest and to make choices about how we want our lives to look, how we want our retirement to look, how we want our work to look. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how we can apply some very important principles to our relationship with our finances as well. We're just coming out of COVID, and over 250,000 jobs were lost to Black women during this pandemic. The pandemic hit our households really, really hard. I also know that the average woman will lose over $250,000 in income over the course of her working years due to family obligations, coming in and out of the workforce based upon our obligations and the responsibilities that we have to people that we love, childbirth and pregnancy, work-related illness, but also the time that we spend taking care of our elders, being caregivers, long-distance caregivers, frontline caregivers. Also, we are also involved in jobs where we are frontline workers, and that means we're subject to more injury, more work-related injury, more stress, and sometimes trauma-related injuries in our work. So we are really at, and as I said, women lose $250,000 over the course of their working years to those responsibilities. And because Black women are often frontline workers and essential workers, subject to more injury, it means that we lose even more. We can lose even more money over the course of our working years. So I feel it's very, very important for us to look at the issues of Black women, Black women's work, the right that we have to rest and to enjoy freedom and ease. There was something else that Stephanie Perry talked about, and she mentions it quite a bit, and I've been saying this for years, and that is that our self-care that we give to each other, that we give to ourselves, it has to be more than a mani-pedi or a massage. It has to be more than a trip to the spa. I'm talking about those internal processes that allow us to be, those internal processes and the structures that we set up for ourselves that allow us to experience life on our terms, where we are making conscious decisions and being very intentional about the kind of lifestyles that we want to have at this point in our lives. I really focus on women who are thinking about retirement, who are approaching retirement, or who may even be at the age of retirement. Many of us fall short in terms of what society says we're supposed to have, in terms of large 401ks and pensions. Many people aren't getting pensions anymore. I certainly didn't qualify for it. Well, I had a tiny, tiny, tiny one. But that was an unusual circumstance. Very few companies offer them now. Just in terms of how we want our lives to look. I'm really a proponent of, let's take a look at what we want our retirement years to look like. Just working and working and working and working for someone else only to quote unquote retire, where we still don't have enough money because of the rising cost of inflation, where we still have dreams that are simmering on the back burner that just don't see the light of day, never get on the front burner. I just think it's time for us to really consciously create something different. And we really do have some choices in terms of how we can begin to make our lives work the way that we want them to work. So I wanted to talk about a few, seven. I want to talk about seven, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, seven financial self-care tips to help us have a better relationship with our money. How we can, or another way to say it is how we can create a, how we can start treating our money, our relationship with money, with loving kindness. So the first thing is, number one, is to believe that we can. If we believe that we can make the changes that we want to make, if we believe that we can improve our credit scores, we can invest, we can save money, we can leave a legacy for our children. Even if we're starting late, if we believe that we can do it, we can. I'm a firm believer that what we believe and what we put our mind to expands. I also believe that God gives us the tools that we need. We are given something every day by our Almighty Creator so that we can go forth and do what we need to do. But we have to believe it first. We have to believe in ourselves first. And we have to have the faith to know that we can get it done. The next one is to know that there's hope. We have to know hope. We have to know that hope and faith work together. There were so many times when I was a single mom and trying to figure out how to make ends meet. Times when, I was struggling to get those utilities paid. And I wasn't sure how I was going to have the kind of life that I wanted. But I knew, I always had hope that I could. I always had hope and belief that I could have the life that I want. I didn't always know how I was going to do it, but I really believed and knew in my heart that there was going to be a way, that God would help me to make a way. So we always have to have hope that we can change our finances. It's never too late. If we live to be 120 years old, there's not going to be a time in our lives when we don't need money. And not only that, there has been research that suggests that the most creative time in our lives, the most productive time in our lives is between the ages of 60 and 70. Between 60 and 70. And the next productive time is between 70 and 80. And I think the third productive time is I think it's right around 50. So we're at a good point. There's hope. There's a chance that we can have what we want. The next one, the number 3, is find our voice. Let our yeses mean yes and our no's mean no. Let's dig in. We can dig in. If we say that we want our finances to be different, we want our relationship with our money to be different, we can make those choices. It does require some discipline. It does require some commitment. It also requires that we get out of our comfort zone, because we never get the same thing we never get something new by doing the same thing. So if we can find our voice, dig in and say what's really on our heart and our mind, and not let anyone talk us out of what we believe to be true for ourselves, we can do it. The next one is embrace change. And my favorite expression is that the only constant in life is change. So if we can know that things are going to change around us, life is going to happen, nothing is going to stay the same, if we can let go of old thoughts, old habits, old patterns, old stuff we don't need, which gathers and collects energy and dust, negative energy and dust, let some of that go. It paves the way for us to have what we need in the future. If we can rethink our circumstances, reframe our circumstances, and eliminate the self-limiting thoughts and beliefs that keep us stuck, we can move forward. So one of the things I would like you to think about is, what do you need to rethink and reframe and eliminate in your thoughts and behaviors so that you can have a better financial future. If you are, list it in the comments, or at least think about it for yourselves. The next one is know what you know. And this is so important because all of us are walking around, especially if you're in your over 50 reaching your 60s, if you're, as I said, in your 60s, 60s getting towards 70, there's so much wisdom that we have, that you have. So much wisdom in your little finger, based upon your life and your circumstances, your triumphs, your joys, your failures. We've all had failures, but the good thing about failures is that they provide us lessons so that we can move forward. My failures have been ways that I have fallen forward into progress. So know what we know, claim it, feel good about it, walk in our shoes with pride, and know that we have within us and the tools around us to change our financial futures. We can have the futures that we want if we're willing to educate ourselves, put some discipline in, get some support around making the goals and succeeding those goals. We can do it. The next one is to be more self-accepting. One of the things that Stephanie Perry also talked about was just ease, and I talk about that too, that my joy is helping Black women over 55 achieve freedom, joy, travel, and ease. Just the ability to just be, to not have to do anything but just be our human selves, because we are worthy. Just by being here, just by being a creation of God, we are worthy. And if we can be more accepting of who we are, with all of our flaws, our gray hairs or the wrinkles that are coming, or the acknowledging the past mistakes we've made. Many of us have made mistakes around our money and our finances. Some of it has been due to things we had no control over. There are genuine structural issues for some of the problems that we're having. I just mentioned that over 250,000 jobs, almost 300,000 jobs were lost to Black women during COVID. And there are also mistakes that we made all by ourselves. Unwise mistakes, stupid mistakes, irresponsible mistakes. We just need to own them. If we can own it, we can move forward and make things different. But we have to own it. But we need to own all of who we are and be accepting, forgive ourselves, and move forward. And the last thing I wanted to say is we need to learn to silence the inner critic. And that is really kind of related to what I just stated about being self-accepting. We've made mistakes. You don't get to live to be in your 50s, 60s, and 70s without having made some mistakes and some major failures in life. But those are opportunities for lessons. And I believe that many of us, most of us, learn some powerful lessons in those mistakes. Most of the really successful people I know have had some financial failures. I have a couple of millionaire mentors. They've made mistakes, but they have used those opportunities to grow, to change, and really to transform, not just themselves, but to transform their communities and the world. So these are some of the things I just wanted us to think about. At the time that I'm filming this is Financial Literacy Month, and I have some thoughts about traditional financial literacy, which I will cover another time. But this is a good time to put this out. Let's transform our finances by transforming our thinking about who we are, what we're able to do, and really believe. Let's have belief and hope that we're able to make the changes that we want to do. What I like to do on this YouTube channel is, as it's growing, I just want to remind people that the focus is for Black women who are thinking about retirement, at retirement, or maybe who are already in it and are just trying to make their way around and trying to figure out how they're going to make the moves that they want to make to have the lifestyle that they want to make. And here I like to share financial tips, financial self-care tips, travel on a budget. And I also really want to talk about the opportunity for Black women to travel abroad and how beneficial it can be to our mind, body, spirit, and pocketbook. And with that, I'm also talking about the importance of having and understanding the role that a home-based business can play in terms of your financial well-being and your financial plan. So that's what I wanted to share. I just wanted to really acknowledge how much I loved Stephanie Perry's video about the importance of treating ourselves with loving kindness. How to Start Treating Yourself with Loving Kindness was the name of that YouTube video. And I am going to call this Treating Our Relationship with Money with Loving Kindness. I will include some more information about myself in the bio at the end, in the comments at the end. But thanks for tuning in, and remember, with mind and manna, what we think about expands, and God provides something for us every single day. So thanks a lot.